I want attacking purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front.
I don't know about you guys, but if I see one bloke walking out of here, give the pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
From inside the centre square, Boydie kicked the goal. Boydie kicked the goal from inside the centre.
Hey Pack, welcome to Danny Boyd. It's a podcast about your favourite, my favourite, everyone's favourite football club, the club that AFL.com.au are calling the next best thing. We are flavour of the month. They've realised the book of Sam Darcy, how good we are. I'm Danny McGinlay. Tom Boyd is with me. It's our final pod together for 3 weeks. I'm off to Japan for a mid-season break. Boydie, what can the listeners look forward to for Boydie and friends for the next few weeks?
Well, it's only 40% of the show. I think it's going to be interesting trying to stretch that 40% out of into 100. But
I believe in you, though.
Look, here's what I need from everyone, right? Because for those of you who don't know, Danny drives this show in every sense of the word, because I do not have time to do anything except for record, basically. Mm-hmm. And even that is a stretch at most weeks. Yep. So what I need from all of our listeners, and in particular wonderful Patreon members, so if you're not a Patreon, please go over there. $5 a month.
Yeah, come on.
Cheap as chips.
Yeah.
And what you get is access to all of our free content that is now behind a paywall, the second half of the episode, essentially, where we have the real hard-hitting conversations about the big topics in Bulldogs land at the moment.
And today, I'm very excited by behind
big
the
ones
paywall today. We are to celebrate Marcus Bontempelli's 250th game. We're going to share, Boydie's going to share some stories about what he was like as a teammate at the Dogs. But behind the paywall, you're getting what he was like as a teammate, Vic Metro's under 15s.
Yeah, well, not 15s, but certainly 17s and 18s.
Sure, all right. All the same
but yeah, the story that is not told much about Bont is how his path to fame and to being the Bont that we know today. It wasn't a straightforward one, so I'll certainly touch off on that stuff. But in particular, when I'm away, or when Danny's away, I should say. Yeah. What I really need, and this is why the Patreon is worth the $5 a month, if not significantly more, is I need all of the patrons to engage and let's talk about the topics that we need to and that you all care about. And you can do that by sending in a question to the Patreon app, commenting. We'll put a post up to ask a question of what's most important to Bulldogs fans at the moment. What questions do we have? We've got some big ins. We've got a few big outs. We've had Treloar hit the sidelines. We've got Jamari Hagan doing podcasts again now.
Yeah, did you hear any of that?
Yeah, we'll get into that behind the paywall. I spoke about this briefly this morning on SEN, and look, I said months ago that there is a path back for Jamara in terms of like his reputation, which essentially is like how do you prep the asset for sale, right? Like a house, right? My mum and dad just moved out of our family home after 36 years.
Okay.
Right, and all they've done after moving all of the stuff out is they've cleaned the house. They're going to paint it. They'll do the windows. They'll do the gutter cleaning. They'll do the carshering or the high pressure hosing. All of this stuff. They'll just make it look schmick.
Yeah.
So that someone can come in and not see some of the issues that are there. Right?
Not see all the wear and tear that teenage Boydie
the
holes upon the place.
And look, I remember a specific moment in my childhood where I was very frustrated. I think I was probably 11 or 12 years old. And I was so angry at my mum, and I walked away and I punched my fist through a drywall, right? Straight through the plaster.
Yep, I've done that.
I came back to mum, very knowing I was in a lot of trouble. And I said, Mum, I'm sorry. I've calmed down. Yada, yada. She was so impressed by how much I was emotionally in control.
Really?
Until about 3 hours later when she realised I put my fist through the
so
drywall.
You didn't admit to putting your fist through?
No. I just came back and then she goes, "Oh, you're so mature. I'm so proud." And then, that's why you weren't. That's what calmed you down. So
Pretty sure when I did it, because I did the same thing. I was angry actually about I couldn't find a certain, I think it was a set of keys or something, and it meant I couldn't go out, couldn't unlock my bike, and it meant I couldn't see my friends, and I had FOMO really bad, and I punched the wall, and it made a little hole. I'm pretty sure I lied to my mum and said I slipped and hit my head on it, and she was like, "Oh, is your head okay?" Oh no, yeah, Mum, it's fine.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm tough.
Yeah.
Mate, I remember. Anyway, my point being on the Jamara side of things is that, we're
not prepping him for sale. He's going to stay. Come on.
Well, regardless of what they're prepping him for, it doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, I said a couple of months ago, there's a path back here that he'll take, right? He'll disappear for a while. Then all of a sudden you'll start seeing exercise videos. And then eventually it'll be like, oh, look at him, he's back, right? Which are pretty much, it's a tried and tested PR move that has worked in every code of sports across the world, right? If these people are on the sidelines, they've got a behavioural issue, they're under the microscope, if you will, they've been disappointed, you just put that process out and everyone goes, they're back. And now he's back in the fold and they don't really have to justify him returning to play because the first response from Bevo is like, there's a long way to go. He's at the start line, basically. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in there as well. But again, what I need in support while studying is away is help me build the structure of things that we want to talk about. Because otherwise, I will just sit here and talk for 25 minutes or half an hour. That's fine. That's not an issue for me.
Are you going to do it by yourself? You were talking about getting Mitchie Wallace in.
Yes, I'm talking about a lot of things. I haven't organised anything. I might ask Mitch.
You may get 3 weeks of silence, listeners. Let's be brutally honest.
No, if I do it, I will try and do something, yes. I do love you guys, but again, if people knew the world of...
What's going on? You got your day job.
Yeah,
You've got your public speaking events. You could just got a new gig on SEN. Is that probably not been announced?
It hasn't been announced yet.
Well, okay, don't worry about that.
I'm not sure if it's actually fully done yet. So,
all right.
But anyway, we're close, I think.
Okay.
Let me just explain this, right?
You're not the new breakfast toast or anything. So
No.
Just chill out, everyone.
I can't do that. Too early in the day. Mid-morning would be fantastic.
Hey, they offer us breakfast. Imagine us, Danny and Boydie, in
what
the
time?
morning. I don't know, what's it, 6 till 9?
No.
We can do it.
No, there's not enough money in the world.
Jeez. All right.
What time are you got to get there?
When I did breakfast radio, my call time. Well, I was the street guy for on Fox FM for a while.
The street guy in the mornings at 5 a.m.
Yeah. So you're going out and doing stunts and interviewing competition winners and stuff like that. So I had to get there at 4:50 because to just meet with the producer, go through what I had to do that day because my first cross was just after 6. So I usually had to drive out to Hoppers Crossing. 4-6.
It should be illegal.
So the other, usually if you're in studio, you don't have to be there till Nick Cody, who does Fox FM Breakfast now, he was telling me he gets in there at 5:50 because he doesn't. All he has to do is react with funny jokes, and he's so good at improv.
Yeah,
he can just do that.
Even that. See, I met up with Luke Darcy after I retired, right? And he basically got asked, I think maybe by Peter or something, just go talk to Tom about transitioning out of the game and how you went, because I know you dealt... Anyway, the long story short, Darcy was on radio at the time, and I think he did... Eddie
Maguire.
He did breakfast for a long time.
A very long time.
Yeah, 10 years, maybe 8 years.
Oh, longer. Yeah.
Right? And I remember him saying to me, he was big into meditation and stuff when he played, right? He's very publicly talked about the overall well-being stuff. I think he's on that show, right? House of Wellness, which...
Not anymore. New season. He's been replaced by Shane Crawford.
Oh,
I don't know if that's been announced, but enough camera guys have told me.
Yeah, right. Well, Shane Crawford is on and will continue to be on the South Melbourne Toyota side of that building forever, apparently, because he's been there for a long time. And I don't think the photos ever changed. So anyway, regardless, he spoke to me about, he goes, I got out of footy and yada yada, and I started to just feel off kilter, basically, without sharing anything. And he's like, well, he realised one of the big things he missed was this meditation stuff, which was a daily thing when he was playing footy. And at the time, I was like, oh, that's great, really interesting. And then today, I sit there and I go, that wasn't it. You were getting up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
That'd send anyone nuts, mate. There's no other way around it.
Yep.
We saw Bob early in the year, right, at the footy.
Bob Murphy, yes.
Yeah, me and you.
Who's doing ABC Breakfast.
And he was doing ABC, and he was a shell of a man.
Absolutely. The first 2 weeks of breakfast is just the worst for anyone.
And I've done, very thankfully, a great Bulldogs fan, Michael Rowland's show.
Yes.
And
friend of the show, we've had him on the pod.
Great man. And really,
I used to do that pretty regularly. I wasn't on until 8:30 though.
Yeah, I got on. He put me on at 6:50 and 7 o'clock. That's just prime time. But also, I'm not bad. I'm up at 6-ish, but I need to get ready for these things mentally. Yeah. And so even this morning, I'm up, I was in the ocean in the dark this morning, waking up, having a quick swim and at 6:20. And I'm like, because I was going on at 8 or 7:45, and I wanted to spend some time with Rani, my daughter, and everything. And just, I don't need that in my life at 4 a.m.
What work and everything.
Oh, God.
You know, you wouldn't have to do your other job if we got this imaginary breakfast radio gig that's absolutely not happening.
Yeah, well, you don't know that. You haven't done the deal yet. I got to stack up some numbers.
I'm pretty sure I just made it up 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, but you don't know if it's better.
You're the one just denying my imaginary dreams.
No, I'm not doing breakfast radio. But I think it is an interesting time. I actually wrote about this the other day around like how media has changed in the last 15 years.
Yeah, so you've done 2 big articles on your LinkedIn newsletter. And
no idea what that means. But
you just
I didn't even know how I made it. I did say, like, I'm not technologically impaired. Right? I do not know how I made that Tom Boyd newsletter.
And how many subscribers?
I don't know. More than 1,000.
Look at that. Just from writing it, just from complaining about certain AFL broadcasters.
It wasn't really complaining, to be fair, but
it was telling us all to eat healthier.
Yeah. It was certainly veiled threats towards certain people. But look, my point being is that how many subscribers am I up to? Here we go. Nope, that's not how I'd get to it. My point is that there has been a big change in the last 15 years, and this was the point of the article that Danny is referencing, which is that when I first got in the league, it was kind of like, all right, social media is starting. As of today, this is the day it starts.
It was all very excited.
Well, I think it was.
We got up early.
Wasn't it 2000 and
we queued up outside MySpace.
Yeah, so MySpace had died a slow and painful death by then. Poor Tom. Do you remember Tom?
I do remember Tom. So yeah, so MySpace was around 2006. 2007, we all got onto Facebook. You're about 12 years old at this point.
Yeah, I wasn't on it. End of high school, definitely on Facebook.
Yep.
But Facebook was constructed as a friends. What are they called? Directory, basically back then. It didn't have news at all.
No.
And it didn't even have funny videos, I don't think, back then.
And it was just updates, and people used to just, put like thinking about having lunch.
Yeah, and like everyone would steal each other's phones and put stupid statuses up.
Yeah, I love Bont.
Yeah, that was awesome. Anyway, so then obviously the real big game changer from a sports media point of view was Twitter, right? And Twitter came in 2011, maybe just before, but it really
I had a job tweeting about the World Cup, the 2010 World Cup.
Yeah,
for
so
the
just
Guardian.
around then, yeah. And it would obviously been started a couple of years before that, but really hit the scene. And so what happened at that point in time was basically it was just this traditional news media, like all of the big stations and newspapers and television, and then them on those platforms, pretty much. And then like a few people like footy forum-y types that were on there. But it wasn't really like where people spent their attention, time and energy. And then fast forward 5 years, people started to like build a following, and in particular, players started to have a voice on Instagram and so on. And there was countless issues with that. And in particular because the coaches hated it. Coaches hated it so much, and the media managers hated it so much because they had so much control, and then they lost. They lost it all, and now look at it. Now you've got the opposite. You got Chris Scott walking around basically defending Bailey Smith, doing whatever he likes because he doesn't really have a choice, right? Like, what's he going to say? Bailey Smith is their best player, and also they're paying him $1 million a year or something. He's probably making more than that off the field. What do you reckon Bailey's going to listen now?
Yeah,
probably not. I guess.
And it was great. The players suddenly got able to, get in sponsorships. Like, if someone like, I don't know, a listener of this podcast worked at a chocolate shop in Ivanhoe and gave us chocolate flavoured footy boots from Chiquillo in Ivanhoe.
Chiquillo.
Thank you very much, Chiquillo.
How do you spell that?
Chocilo.
There you go. See,
so Ivanhoe, not really Western Bulldogs heartland, but if you're out there in the east side, northeast side, go check out Chiquillo.
Northeast side, yeah, it's really out of the way actually if you think about it.
But, thanks, Heather. Anyway,
thanks, Heather. Really appreciate it. It was fantastic craftsmanship.
Anyway, that's just also us saying, hey, we're open to, if you want to give us stuff, we'll plug it. Boydie won't do it on his socials because he's got like, what are you, 20,000 followers, 25,000?
Yeah, it's actually going up again for the first time in probably 15 years.
There you go.
10 years.
I've gone up about 50 today because I put up a reel making fun of Richmond fans, and they are not taking it well.
Well, I think it's a great point, Danny, to segue to. The last thing I'll say is that today's media landscape is actually quite, like, you got a lot of options, right? There's a lot of young guys coming through. There's a lot of the comedy-based, fun, entertaining, don't take footy too seriously, and then you can go listen to the agenda setters or whatever they're called. Well done. Good luck.
Yeah.
and everything in between. But speaking of everything in between, wow. Richmond are not good at footy.
There we go. So we got 14 minutes into the pod. We've finally got to the game.
Richmond are not good at footy.
Well, they're
Right now, they are not good, Dave.
No, your mate Nick Floston played very well. Now, admittedly, now we've sort of got the opposite. Often you don't watch the footy because it's I don't know, you're, what's that word? It's triggering.
Working.
That's the one. But he'll
Triggering.
He'll watch the highlights with the sound down.
I had a perfect career. I'm at that stage. I'm better than everyone playing. No, I'm joking. I don't have any triggering. I just get. I genuinely just don't have time a lot of the time because I work weekends. And you asked me about my job, like. This is my last week, right?
Yeah.
Normal job, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Went to Nil on Thursday after working in the morning. Nil is 4.5 hours away from Melbourne.
Victoria.
Went up there, worked till 10 o'clock at night or 9:30 at night. Then got up, worked for 12 hours or 11 hours on Friday on the computer in Nil. Worked all day Saturday. Got home at 10 o'clock at night on Saturday.
What is going on with Ever Perform?
It's Sunday normal day, and then last night I was in Moe, right? Going down to
not for Ever Perform for you.
No.
For
this
another
is for
mental health
WorkSafe
gig.
and other gigs and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not that easy to fit everything in, including footy, and especially because we play like half of our games on Thursday nights.
It's true.
When I'm literally working.
But you did go on Sunday. Now, Sundays I work at. Have you been paying attention?
So you
so I
just
missed
never
it.
go. You just triggered it. Yeah.
I did that. I'm just triggered by good comedy. And so I managed to see like half the last quarter. I did run to the ground straight after. But what were your thoughts on, you say Richmond are no good, but are we good? Because I'm very worried. It's ever since the Hawthorn game, I knew that even if we smashed St Kilda, and we did, even if we smashed Richmond, and we did, hollow. I feel hollow. Yeah. Because are we as good as I think we are?
Yeah. I didn't finish the game. I got to just after 3/4 time.
All right. So, look, we saw the whole game.
And we tried
us.
to get out of there, and it was impossible. I was like trying to skip the
traffic.
traffic.
Oh, mate. Getting
was looking
into
after
the ground. It's just Richmond fans. I felt like a salmon going upstream.
Yeah, you would have.
Just a barrage.
I can't believe they were there that late.
Oh, mate.
Mate, it was, and I was just trying to, because my daughter was getting looked after by mum, and she'd had a big weekend moving house, so I was trying to get home in reasonable time because the game was well and truly over.
True.
And you can't get a cab. It's just, anyway, it's a nightmare. That whole situation with car-based public transport is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't work.
And your place isn't on a train line or anything? So.
No. Anyway, we end up walking. But my point being is, so if I was sitting, it's Adam Muse, right, who's coaching Richmond still.
Yes.
So my expectation would be that they got both barrels of the shotgun from Adam Muse on the weekend, Richmond did, because they might be young and they might have some senior players who are very much on the latter half of their career and not playing their best footy, which I would probably exclude. Nick's still playing really well. And there's sort of one or two other guys who are still in pretty decent nick, but there's a couple who they're not their best anymore.
Right.
Like Tom Lynch is not the player he was 5 or 6 years ago. Dion Prestia is not. All of those. Anyway, I would expect that Adam Muse basically sat him down and said, no matter what your age is or how inexperienced you are, effort is something that we need to see. And I just watched that team just after the bye, off kilter, not really interested in playing. And I'm not bagging the guys. It's not they weren't trying. They just didn't have the energy to compensate for their lack of experience and lack of talent on their list. It was really hard to watch. So you question if we're any good. We blitzed them for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And then the game turned to shit for a quarter and a half. And we still scored, but it was just painful.
Okay.
And then we blew them out.
Yeah.
It was about as a game of footy I've seen in a long time.
Well, I assume we took the foot off the accelerator, 5-day break going up against the
We
Swans.
didn't even need to put it on the accelerator.
Oh, really?
That's the point. Like there were moments where Ed, these are really good footballers, right? Ed's one of the best players in the competition at the moment, which still will never be celebrated enough, right?
Agreed. Well, until he wins the Brownlow this year.
Well, if he wins one and Bont doesn't, I might personally go to AFL headquarters. These guys are really, really good footballers, but they just walked through them. And it was really it was equalisation working at its best right? In a way, they had 4 years where they were contenders and they won 3 premierships. You're supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
But, geez, it was painful. So I get no idea for any better for it. Frankly, we got through another game. Das got through another game.
What did you notice tactically? What were we doing when you were reading the play?
Mate, there was no tactics required, genuinely. Like,
come on, give us an insight. Give us something that we can say to around the water cooler that
Well, like I just think it's all player based, right? So I think again, Bont had a really strong outing. He continues to stack up good performances. That was his probably best statistical.
Well, no, because he got held by that St Kilda player. So
yeah,
he was. You reckon he was fired up?
Well, I just think that Marcus is stringing together off a very limited preseason. Still a really good year.
Yep.
Das has gotten through 2 games now.
Yes.
Yep. Unscathed. Yep. Looked good. I didn't like. One of my points is that Sam is so good and so big and so athletically gifted that it almost was unimpressive what he was doing, and he still kicked 5. Do you know what I mean? It was like I was saying to Sam Edmund this morning. It was kind of like you just meat and potato. Where he goes with a bit of gravy. I'm like, yeah, because it wasn't like he was doing anything complicated. He was just taking marks and kicking goals.
Okay.
This is all that matters. But they didn't exactly make it difficult for him. He didn't have to turn on his jets. He didn't take a one-headed mark like Riley West did. That was just unbelievable. Right. He just stood there, took a contested mark and kicked a goal.
I mean, we've only had a great point that was made in one of my WhatsApp groups. So Bont in the last quarter just ran out of the mid and just hit Sam on the chest.
Yep.
And Bont to Darcy will be as synonymous as Court Healy, Bold Warren. In the future.
If Bont plays till he's Scott Pendlebury's age.
Well, of course he will.
Yeah.
He's going for 400, surely.
It'll be really interesting. I don't want to fast forward. I want to enjoy every minute of it.
Damn straight.
They said to me this morning, and I think we should stick with Bont. Maybe we'll do one story before we actually go behind the paywall. But they said to me, so Tom, which Australian sportsman are you most excited about at the moment? Oscar Piastri?
Yeah.
Josh Giddey? Gout? I was like, Bont?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares? Like, there's no, like, I'm all for it when the Olympics and stuff are on, and I'm not a big motorsport guy, just to be clear.
No, neither.
No clue about what's happening, and I've watched
Apparently
the F1.
it's good.
The F1 is kind of just like, it just seems like who's got more money thing.
There's a lot of motorsport on at my house, and it seems Yoshi is really good this year.
Strong.
Yes.
Very strong.
Yeah, I'm a Toad man, so.
Yeah, Bowser's going backwards. And I think, the back half of the year for Bont is something that I'm most excited for. And 250 this week. What? I was really flat that it's in Sydney, to be honest.
Agreed.
But that would have been really nice to have at Whitten Oval. I know that's not an option. But,
who would you like to play?
But I'll say, Bont has forever been, since he walked into the place in 2013, at the end of 2013, just like a mature player from a performance point of view, but the way he's always prepared for the game. And someone asked me, is he a great leader? Well, great leaders are usually defined by their different strength sets. I had Bob Murphy, Easton Wood, and Matty Boyd just coming off being captain not too long before I arrived, and of course Marcus. And they're all very, very different for and good for different reasons. The thing about Marcus is that he never left a shadow of a doubt to anyone else in the building as to how to get the most out of yourself. He's always been so professional that he didn't need to talk. He just needed to do. And if he talked, it was a bonus. Because he's there first. He's preparing with a meticulous detail. He's always been very invested in how do I specifically improve? How do I use the resources and the coaches and the other players and the support staff around me to get better? You just if you walked into a club, all you do is just go stand next to him and do exactly what he does, and you'll get yourself to as good as you needed to, or as good as you could be, because that's what he's always done about himself. So we're very lucky to have the young man, not so young, he'll be 30 in a couple of months.
Yep.
And
what's your first? Do you remember your first meeting with him as an AFL teammate?
Not really. I'm trying to remember if he had the schoolboy spiky hair still when I got there, or if he'd started to actually become a man. Because you remember in his first year, he had that like basically short back and sides and just spiky on top before he turned into the 7 different shades of Marcus that we've had since.
Yeah, he looks good in all of them.
The first one wasn't great. Like, that was the same haircut that I had, and he's got a very pronounced feature, Marcus, that works better with the beard and everything else that he's got. No, I don't remember specifically. I just there was always this. There was just these things that he did at training that were always outstanding. And look, Jake Stringer was a bit the same in my first season. His pre-season before 2015 was unbelievable. You just between those two guys, you'd watch Marcus have a one-hand take in the middle of a congested stoppage, walk through three people and hit someone on the chest, and you just go, no one else can do that.
Right. Yeah.
And Jake was a bit the same, where he just somehow he'd get the ball, he'd fend off three people and kick a goal from 40 around his body, and you go, oh, Jesus, it's almost impossible to stop.
Yeah.
And I think that was really the earmark of the great season he was going to have. And since he's basically got to, I would say when he was 20, so in that season, his second year, 2015, he has played the same every year. He's just done more of the good stuff, right? It's not like he's...
This is Bont, not Stringer.
Bont, Stringer's done the opposite. Like he's gone up and down, up and down, up and down. Bont's just every year incrementally improved like the volume of good things that he did, but in a very like almost linear fashion, right? It's not like he's just gone up and had a great year and then dropped back. No, he's basically just continued to improve every single year of his career, which is an astounding thing to do.
Yeah, and just... You're still waiting for the skeleton in the closet. Like, he's so nice. Like, anyone who's met him, you'll know he's so earnest and genuine. You just, like, he's got to be evil. There's got to be something like... Because I remember I once interviewed Simon Dalrymple for a Bulldogs function.
Yes.
And I said, what was it like when you found, when you're looking at players and what do you look for? And he said, he said Bont was the kid that he did the biggest dirt digging on, because he would, I don't know if you got asked this when they interview, they ask you like, so what's something naughty you've done? What's, did you get any of those questions?
I don't know, not like that. What's something naughty?
Well, that's worded badly, but it's...
No, what's the worst thing you've done? No, I don't think so.
Because Bont apparently said, well, I was rude to my sister last week. And they're like, no, really, what have you done? You're smoking, you're going out
drinking,
partying, you're drinking. He's gone, no, I don't do any of that.
No, I didn't drink until I was 18 either. So there was
Really?
I would have, like...
Because you were gunning for...
Yeah. I had perfect answers, so it was all good. But yeah, Marcus, and again, we'll talk about this on the Patreon. Marcus, as a pick 4, it was not a preordained thing, and it wasn't a decision that was well regarded. Well,
because Dalrymple didn't believe everyone. He said he was talking to, I think Bont was working at Kmart or something. He was talking to his bosses, talking to his teachers, talking to his mum, his dad, his neighbours, and they're all just saying, he's the best kid ever. And he's going, this is too perfect. They're all in cahoots. This is
the Truman Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Dalrymple was like just waiting for the penny to drop. Yep. But of course it never did. He turned out to be as perfect as he is.
Yeah. He's either that or he's a really good serial killer.
So Bont, when he retires, after 450 games, he pulls off the mask Scooby-Doo style, and it's Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I was thinking about the faceless men in Game of Thrones. He just pulls his face off and it's just an assassin.
There's nothing there. It's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, different movie. Anyway, we'll talk more about, obviously, Bont's arrival to the league.
Are you worried with Sydney? I mean, it's a milestone game, so we should fire up, but they've got back Goulden, Papley. Are you worried?
No, I don't think they're very good.
Okay, cool.
To be honest.
Really? No. They're both awesome.
No, Sydney. I don't think Sydney are very good.
Like Papley and Goulden are...
Papley always kicks a couple against us.
Yeah.
But we've had a pretty good run against them recently, okay. I think. So I'm not worried.
We should also talk about, since I'm going away, it's Libba's 250th.
I do.
The week after against North.
So I have all sorts of inside knowledge on that.
What was your first meeting with Libba like?
Don't know. He didn't really talk. Libba's always sort of hung out by himself. Or he didn't hang out with me.
He's such a unique individual.
Yeah, but look, I think Libba's come a long way. I will say this forever and a day. I've run into some recently some teammates from the Giants and those types of things, and I'm old enough now to know that we were all just kids trying to figure it out, right? Yep. And we were kids. We were 18, straight out of school, all basically told how good we were for the 10 years leading up to that, and we were dumped in a bloody strange environment in Sydney and just gone, okay, we're going to pay you good money to go and play footy, just figure it out. And it's like, if it went smoothly, it would have been a miracle.
Right.
So
you're talking you, Rory Lobb.
But they're all like, but there's all sorts of teammates that I didn't get along with at that stage. And And, rightfully so. Like, some of the memories I've got of that time are not particularly nice. But that's not to say they're all bad people. It's just...
You were kids.
We're kids trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think, to that point, like, the most remarkable thing about Marcus is Marcus hasn't changed a lot in 10 years, right? He came in looking like, to a degree, the man that he is today. And he was always on a path, and he's still on that path, which never happens. Almost never happens. And Libba, interestingly, I think, was matured so much as well, where he's now captaining the club, right? Like...
Yeah.
You wouldn't have said that 5, 7,
No,
8 years ago.
he was caught out off his head.
Yeah.
And then 2 ACLs.
2 ACLs and an edge personality for starters.
Yeah.
But now very much taken his role as the veteran of the group and the centre of much of the universe of the Bulldogs. And I think that's like there's nothing better in footy that this stuff works out and it happens like that. I think it's awesome.
But still the guy that you never know what he's going to say.
Oh, for sure.
Tom Liberatore.
You know more now than you used to. Tell you what, you'd be closer.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. If we're talking in golf analogies, you would be lucky to find the ball after you teed off. Or he teed off. Now you're pretty sure it's somewhere in the rough just near the fairway.
Yeah. I remember, I interviewed him once before a match in when he was injured, and I said, "What's your favourite film?" And he said, it's my top 3: Pulp Fiction. I went, "Yeah, cool." Wedding Planners, which is an awful rom-com with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Crashes.
Wedding Crashes. Sorry.
Great movie.
Wedding Planner is
Not a bad
Jennifer
one.
Lopez. Terrible rom-com. Apologies to all the film
Wedding Crashes
nerds.
is a very good movie.
No, it's not. And Othello. Othello. Shakespeare.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Well, he was a literature major at school.
Yeah, right.
English literature.
So was I.
Yeah, I know.
But at a state school, so it just...
Yeah, but he was actually good at sport. He didn't have to,
What I'm hearing is he was terrible at drama.
Yeah, he was balanced. You, on the other hand, water finds this level.
Forgot to do this, interrupting the show. Gig Facts. This is where Andrew Gigach, club historian, gives us a fact. And I did promise this in the last episode, but we do have a jingle by one of our Patreons, Frode, the Norwegian who lives in Florida, the Norwegian firefighter, lives in Florida. He's made us a little jingle just for the Gigs Facts segment. Boydie is hearing it for the first time. Boydie, here we go.
Sit on back and relax. It's time for Gigs Facts. There's Bulldog's knowledge and it tracks. Here come the Gigs Facts. Danny asks the questions and Boydie reacts. So put on your thinking caps because we're doing the Gigs Facts.
Wowee.
What do you think?
It's actually pretty good. I was kind of thinking it was more like jingly.
Yeah,
But it's
he actually sent a 1.5-minute version. I had to go, dude, it's a jingle. Need 5 seconds maximum. We've got it down to 25.
I'm pretty sure I saw that in a kid's party once, that song, with the up the front ripping on the guitar going, I should have made it somewhere. No, well done. That's awesome. Very helpful. And yeah.
Here is the Gigs Facts. All right, I just need you to... simple question for you, Boydie. What have the Dogs done more this year than any other time in their history? We have broken a record, and we have done it. I'll tell you now, 5 times.
Gone in and out of the top 8?
No, we would have done that more, I reckon.
Yeah, 10 times the year.
Yeah.
I don't know if... Ballpark?
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yep.
Is this a percentage of goal kicking or something?
No.
That's been pretty good this year.
It's been
I
very
think
good.
we're second best in the comp.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
We've won games by more than 70 points.
Oh, yes, I
For
did know this.
5
I saw this the
times.
other day.
What? Who's doing our Gigs Facts?
I know. Someone did it the other day.
We did the Gigs Facts last week of Treloar and Lob playing 50 games.
I know. And then Treloar did the cup.
Well, he did the hammy, but the did you see the official Bulldogs put it up today? They're doing our Gigs Facts.
Calf, 6 weeks.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, we know about that.
Not
but
hammy,
let's
but
doing
yeah.
the negative things.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, back to the regular episode.
It's not going to happen tomorrow, is it?
What?
Well, Ads is now on the sidelines for 6 weeks, so it's not going to happen again.
No, but it's already happened.
I
They did it.
I know.
Stop messing with the facts. All right, so, and I don't think there's any other milestones while I'm away. But, so if we come back, we're going to go up behind the paywall very soon. But I just want to preview the next month. We've got And the reason I know all these matches off the top of my head, I've just done all the banners for them. I've done it a month early.
So he's prepared.
So I'm prepared. So we got we got the Swans this Friday. Then we got the Kangas on the Thursday. Then we play the Crows Saturday afternoon at Marvel. It was supposed to be at Ballarat. Now it's at Marvel. That's going to be an interesting game because Crows are up and about this year.
Yes, that's the game.
That's the game. Then we have the Lions on a Friday night in at the Gabba. That's the day I get back. So we'll be back to normal broadcasting after those. But that's a pretty... We should win all 4 of those. Oh, no, maybe... Okay, if we win 3 out of the 4, like Lions at the Gabba is going to be difficult. But of course I believe we will.
Yep.
Like that's my prediction. So anything more than that, brilliant. Anything less than that, devastating.
Yep.
Cool. All right, good chat.
Yeah, we come home with West Coast too.
Yeah. And then Freo at home, as in in Melbourne. So we got to... And then we play the Demons.
We should really push for top 4.
We should, yeah.
Push is a word I would use.
2023, though, remember we famously said on this pod, we're definitely making finals, so it's all good. And we did not. We had that terrible run.
Doesn't sound like something I'd say.
I said it and you didn't disagree, so that's...
Yeah, well, it was early days. All right, we're going behind the paywall. Great work. As I said, patreon.com, Danny Boyd Bulldog Show.
Yes.
Send in your questions, subscribe, help me get through the next 2 weeks.
Tell some friends to listen. Let's get our numbers up. We've worked out that we have a very high active listenership, but not our downloads aren't as big as we
It's because we don't push socials. So you push socials for us.
Yeah, but I've got like a quarter of your.
Oh, no, I was talking to the
socials.
listeners. The listeners just rip the screenshot and send it.
Anyway, all right.
Look at us. We're professionals.
Go Dogs.
Gave my childhood to that roar of the red, white, and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Foot's grey streets. Long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Foot's grey streets.